Welcome to Let's Talk About Real Estate, the podcast for real estate agents everywhere. You are now part of a group of real estate agents and entrepreneurs who want to make a difference in their lives. People who are looking for ways to create hacks into the real estate profession in order to make more sales and at the same time have more time off. Agents are realizing that the old ways simply aren't working for them anymore. They are working far too many hours and most don't enjoy a work-life balance. Get ready to explore ways to hack your real estate life. I'm Lisa B. All right, James Tostevin, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Pleasure, Lisa. That's fine. Happy to try and provide some wisdom to those that listen to this Zoom recording.
I can't wait. Okay, so you've been in real estate for over 30 years. You've achieved many, many accolades. One amazing achievement over the last 5 years, you've been ranked number 3 agent in Australia. Another amazing achievement is you have 6 children and 2 grandchildren. You must be really busy.
Yeah, no, it is hectic. My life is, I would say, it's pretty much full on, but I love it. I mean, it's good, great fun. And I've been in real estate for 35 years and I've sort of ranged from sort of 1, 2, 3 and 4. But look, there's some amazing operators in Sydney in particular. I think they've stolen the march on a couple of the Melbourne agents. But look, I always say that agents really in the top 20 or 30 or probably even a bit more. It's hard to separate them really. I mean, they're all, I'd like to think, pretty accomplished at what they do, Lisa.
Yeah, professionals, yeah. So before we go on to, I also want to mention that you provide training to real estate agents. So that's at jamestostevintraining.com.
Correct, yeah. So I still enjoy doing that. I've done it for 25 years and I feel the appeal of my training, apart from the message, I'd like to think is positive and motivating and provides great energy and lots of ideas for people that are prepared to embrace those ideas, as I'm doing, and certainly talking about what I'm currently doing in the market as opposed to what I did 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I'd like to think the training's relevant because I'm in the market day to day and therefore it's applicable and easy to relate to in terms of all the people that are, in the industry at the moment that can listen into any of my presentations.
Exactly. And you've got the benefit of hindsight, what worked a long time ago, and you can kind of mix things up a bit, can't you? And go like, I remember I used to do that so many years ago and bring it back. And everyone thinks it's a brand new thing.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
All right. So if we can launch in it, we've got half an hour together. So this I guess calls kind of for people that are relatively new to the industry or people who are in a sales slump, people who are really looking for answers. So, kind of put yourself in somebody's shoes that's, kind of not sure what to do, that they're looking for the answers of how to move forward. So what's the key to success in lead generation? What tips would you give agents on how to find listings?
I think the key thing, Lisa, there's a couple of things. Obviously, I'm known for my nurture and prospecting calls. That's probably the number one. Well, there's probably a few things I'd like to hope and think I'm thought of highly in the industry, but certainly the prospecting nurture part of my business has been the core part of my business and the reason I've been successful. And I appreciate if you haven't been in real estate for longer than 3 or 6 months or 12 months, people have said to me, I could ring through my database in a matter of a week. So where do I keep finding new leads and new opportunities? One of the things that baffles me about real estate agents is when someone leaves an organisation, which happens more than we'd like to think, there's a lot of what we call orphan data. There's a lot of data that's not picked up by salespeople. And there might be good intentions of the senior people in the office, but they just don't get to those people because they're busy enough with their own databases. So to me, that's a huge opportunity for people. So it might be either data where someone has left an agency, or it's old data where they've had no contact, no phone contact, no meaningful contact for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years or longer. So again, those people are really, they should be open slather. Depending on how the office is structured and set up, there's no reason why those leads shouldn't be given to someone who's enterprising, energetic and wants to create a much bigger database. Because without a database of about 500, I'm not saying it's an impossible business, but it's certainly more challenging. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to 500, ideally 750,000 should be, on your radar. In Melbourne, I'm not sure about other states because I haven't worked. Yes, I've done training, but I haven't worked personally in those markets. Mm-hmm. It takes 5 years as what I call a qualifying period to be successful. And that can vary a bit, of course, depending on the person. We've had some agents that have defied that, but in a really, really competitive market, which certainly we're in, I think it's about 5 years. So that's one critical thing, Lisa, the lead generation part of it just comes through. But, you know, one of the tricks with real estate, as you know, is frequency of contact, what to say when you ring, how you build the bridge between you and the client, how it becomes a natural and easy rapport with someone. And not to say that's not, you know, it's going to be created over time with some people, but unless you can get that aspect of real estate right, then it's going to be really, really tough. And you obviously look at areas of your business which are effective, and you keep track of where you're getting listings from. There'll be strengths, but there'll be some weaknesses there with any agent. And, you know, what can you work on to generate a lot more opportunities? But in our market, obviously, like any market, I think open for inspections provide a huge volume of opportunity, especially with people that aren't necessarily selling straight away. They'll say, look, we're not selling for a while, or we're long-term, and long-term for them might be 3, 5 years, 7 or 8 years. But I've got a massive head start if I track those people, and you just got to track lots of them. And referrals naturally are really important because there's less pressure to get the business and less pressure on your fee as well. So sort of a combination of reasons there. But yeah, I think that's just a really, really important one.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So what's the key to success in listing high numbers? What tips would you give agents on how to list well?
Yeah, I think that's a massive topic, obviously, but I think listing in big numbers comes around sort of your attitude, because a lot of agents do. I sort of always talk about the ripple effect. A lot of agents don't have the ripple effect. They sort of tend to sort of list and sort of climb up the mountain and then slide down the other side selling them. And then, God, we need more listings. We need to go out and prospect and hunt for opportunities. And suddenly there's a lack of listings and they create more opportunities. Then again, focus on those. The ripple effect has just been consistent. Yeah. A lot of agents have a bit of a roller coaster. So I think the attitude too is that too many people are satisfied with either a smaller number of listings and sort of that'll do me type attitude. That's enough in terms of income. That's enough in terms of listings. I'm not sure if I could cope with beyond that because they've never had the team structure that allows that. If the right team structure is in place, then obviously it means in terms of volume, you can list a lot more, Lisa. So that's a really critical one. Yeah. Listing itself, I think, is really understanding your points of difference. So you go into any listing presentation and say, okay, what's going to potentially help me, and in my case, Marshall White, attract this client to our agency? What's going to impress them? As Michael Shivgott always talks about, when you're making a point to a prospective client, what's the benefit to them? What's the benefit to the vendor? So that's important. I think the other thing is when people miss listings, Lisa, they always ask what they did wrong in effect. It's still the way you ask that question, but you want to know why you were beaten to the opportunity. But equally, when you get a listing, it's critical that you ask why you got the listing, why they chose you and your company over the other 2 or 3 or 4 they were considering. In our market, it's normally 3, sometimes 4 that they'll consider. So I want to know what beat our major competitors. So in terms of listing more properties, Lisa, I reckon that's absolutely crucial, just to learn those lessons in when you both lose and win opportunities, because that will certainly catapult you to much bigger numbers of listings if you listen intently to what they've said to you. And like anything, you learn from it, because a lot of agents get on the defensive. That agent was a cheaper fee. The bottom line is you weren't good enough. I wasn't good enough. If I missed the listing, I wasn't good enough and you weren't good enough. So that's a really important thing. But a lot of agents have got, it's important to have a thick skin. But I think a lot of agents just say, no, it wasn't my fault. So
no, definitely taking responsibility and learning from each one, isn't it? Okay, so you touched on it briefly. So the key to success in vendor management. Thank you for joining the Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast. Now, if you would like to hear the rest of this interview, then join us at realestatetrainingcommunity.com.au, which is www.realestatetrainingcommunity.com.au, where you'll find the rest of this amazing interview, plus loads and loads of other interviews, resources, training, everything you need to be successful in your real estate career. So join us there and we'll see you then.